Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what a game. Did you see the game? Man, do I have a game for you right now? They did just get done with the round 6 Armageddon. Round 6, and then they played the Armageddon games. And so I have Wesley So versus Aryan Tari. And this is one of the craziest games I've seen. You know what? This is actually going to be up there in the list of like an Immortal game. Man, it's insane. If you did not see the game, then you are in for a treat right now. So of course, for all of my people that are coming from the Philippines, I would say mabuhay to you, kamusta na, hello ulit. I appreciate everybody very much for coming by. Maraming salamat, King Makaibigan. Yes, anybody who is coming from Norway, I will say God Morgan, welcome. And Tusen Tak for coming by and taking a look at my stuff. But if you guys are ready to go, I promise you, this is the game that you want to see right here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we do have C4. We got E6. So all very standard stuff until this point. We see knight to C3. We got D5, D4, C5. So we've kind of stepped aside just a little bit. This is definitely a much stronger opening for white than it is for black. It's kind of similar, to when you kind of have like a Benoni type thing. You're going to be giving up, quite a bit of central space. You're just kind of moving pawns only for black at the moment. So, white has a definite, really, really strong position. So we do see pawn taking D5, pawn taking D5, and then we do have knight to F3. And one of the problems with this particular opening for black is a lot of the times you end up with an isolated pawn, which, I mean, as you guys probably are aware, an isolated D pawn isn't the end of the world. But, I mean, isolated pawns just in general, they take a lot of technique to kind of like protect, right? So we do see knight to C6. We got G3. Knight comes to F6. We see bishop to G2. Pawn takes D4. Knight takes D4. Bishop comes to C5. Of course, we're double attacking this knight, so we got to do something. Either knight takes C6. You can even play bishop to E3, or the knight coming back to B3, which is what we see in the game. And then we do see bishop back to B6. And some of you guys might be wondering, like, isn't this just a pawn, right? And I'm going to tell you what, man. This is the moment of the game where things start to get kind of dicey. Like, this starts the excitement. So if you don't think anything's been exciting yet to this point, it starts to get exciting. We do see knight takes D5. Now, the only thing, this is definitely very strong for white. The only thing is, your king is still kind of stuck in the center of the board. So there are a little bit of tactics involved. In what we see here. You definitely don't want to move this knight anywhere other than C3 or E3 because you are looking at bishop takes F2. These are like common opening tactics and stuff that you see. But we do see bishop to E6 and we do have E4. The bishop comes to G4 and then we see the novelty of the game, which is queen to D2. I'm not sure why this is a novelty. This is like one of the best moves in the position. So, I mean, it's very logically played. But as you guys do notice, and like I said a second ago, this white king is stuck in the center of the board. Black's king is as well, but they are not as developed as black. And so they can't kind of pour it on like black can. So we do see knight takes D5, pawn takes D5, and then we have the very accurate queen to E7 with check. And Aryan Tari is actually in a much better position than Wesley So in this position. The goal, I believe, of Wesley So is to try to throw Aryan Tari off enough out of his opening that he's going to start to misplay. So it's kind of like when people play gambits and stuff, they're trying to like throw somebody off so that they can, have a little something going on. So we do see king over to F1. And like I said, black is just in a really nice spot. They do have this knight attacked, but they solve it with castling long. And Wesley So, I mean, he's in a definitely good position at this point in the game because he does have this this pawn attacking this knight. So if he can move this queen somewhere, he definitely has the ability to take the knight. So the knight is probably going to have to move. So, I mean, white should be able to kind of unravel themselves. We do see H3. Bishop comes to F5. And this is, I mean, as you see the bar, I mean, this is a very, very nice position for white. If you want to go ahead and pause the video, and this is where it gets crazy, man. Like, it got crazy before, but it gets crazier right now. If you want to go ahead and pause the video and see how Wesley So plays right now, go ahead and do so. Okay, like I said, for anybody who did not see the game, you are definitely in for a very gigantic treat. Wesley So sacrifices his queen in this position, and he goes pawn takes c6. Now, okay, all right. It is a blunder. So this is a much better position for black. Aryan Tari, like, literally is completely winning this position from right here, right? But you have to play in the most specific way possible in this position. And the craziest thing about it is, in this exact position, rook takes d2 is not the top move. It actually gives white back a lot, which is crazy because, you know, like, literally the queen is just kind of sitting there like, bro, like, what's up, right? So that is actually what we see in the game. We see rook takes d2, which is super duper logical. You're like, okay, like, I don't believe you, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this can't be good. And it isn't good, but it is playable enough. Just barely. But backing up into this position, actually the best possible move in this position was pawn takes c6. And I mean, some of you guys, I think most of you guys said out there, like, why would I take the pawn when I could just take the queen? Well, the problem is, like I said, because the king is stuck in the center of the board, this queen doesn't really have a lot of good places to go. You know, you are looking at rook down to d1 with check, and you don't really have anywhere you can go. But the problem is, like, what do you do with your queen? You can't move it over here. You can't hold this square at all, and that's checkmating. So it's like, I mean, you have to go somewhere. Like, I mean, probably queen to e3. But, I mean, you know, you're looking at bishop over here checking. I mean, it's just really just, it's bad. You know, I mean, you're going to be looking at rook down here and stuff like that. So, you know, you don't have the best. So actually the computer suggests in this position to go king to g1. So y'all are probably like, what? Why are we playing like this? This is the computer. It is not me. It is what it's telling you to do. But like I said, rook takes d2. And so, I mean, Wesley So just sacrificed his queen. But as you guys can see, he is not in like a completely just lost position. He's actually doing okay. We do see pawn taking b7 with check. The king side steps over to b8. Bishop takes d2. So, I mean, you know, we have some pieces. We got 5 pieces to 4. But it's just the way that, like, Wesley So continues to follow up the position that just makes it just insane. Now, in this position, bishop to e4 pretty much kind of stops everything from rolling. This bishop is protecting this pawn. You do want to go bishop to f4, you know, swing this rook over, stuff like that. You know, maybe hide this king over here. So, bishop to, you know, bishop to e4 is absolutely necessary in this position. But Tari does not go that. He plays a6. Now, like I said, Wesley So we're playing an Armageddon game. So Wesley So is saying, man, I'm going to try to mix it up as much as possible, and I'm going to try to throw Aryan Tari off. And that's exactly what he's doing. And as you guys can see, this is exactly what is happening to Aryan Tari. He is being thrown off. We do see a6, which really just kind of wastes a move. You're thinking, you know, hey, man, bishop to f4, I mean, you know, like, that's got to be like, you know, that's got to be like checkmate. Pretty much, right? So a6 gives you some luft, right? But like I said, if you play bishop to e4 first, you know, you don't have the ability to go bishop to f4 because then king takes b7 is on the cards. So it's definitely something he had to go. And so in this position, you just see it just continuously rolling. Rook comes to e1, and then we do see queen to f6. And we do have to be careful because if this bishop moves somewhere like a check, moving over here is going to be pretty nasty. The queen is going to be taken here, so you got to kind of be careful about the way that you're playing this. But we do see king over to g1. We got bishop up to e6. We see king over to h2. Did I guess? Yes. We see king down to a7. And you guys can see that the bar continues to grow for white. Like basically Wesley So is just continuing to get himself in a better and better position. And bishop to f4, you know, just kind of blocking this queen is still on the table. So we do see bishop to c3, just attacking the queen, but we're also attacking this pawn behind the queen. So we're really forcing black's hand here. So we do see queen takes f2 with check. Rook h goes to f1. We see queen over to c2, pretty much the only move. we do see knight to d4. So like I said, you see that the bar is just continuing to go up and up for Wesley So. He is literally playing ever since he gave his queen away, he's literally played computer moves the entire time. Now, there's no way he looked this up. Like, there's no way that he, like, prepared this, like, situation. I mean, maybe he did. That'd be some crazy stuff, man, if he did that. If he prepared this, if he prepared this at home. But I really feel like he's just playing, like, just naturally off of, you know, just his intuition and ability and stuff like that. So we do see bishop takes d4. Bishop takes d4. We got king up to b8. We got bishop to e5. King goes back down to a7. Bishop to d4 check. King goes back to b8. And Aryan Tari would love a draw right here. But Wesley So's like, nah, man, because if you draw, you win. So scratch that. But he's literally, since the game before, he's literally like just continued to repeat moves. So, I mean, he's just kind of going back and forth, making sure he gains time. You know, just kind of messing with Tari's head a little bit. So we do see rook takes e6 now. Pawn takes e6, and this is like a beautiful exchange sacrifice. As you can see, I mean, you don't really have a whole lot of black left. It's 11 plus 9.9. So, you know, you're really running out of black here. So we do see bishop to e5 with check. We see king down to a7. Bishop goes back to d4 with check. The king goes back to b8. Bishop takes on g7 so that we're not repeating. We do see the rook step over to e8, and then bishop comes back to e5 with check. We see rook to a7. Bishop comes down to d4. King goes to b8. Bishop to e5. King goes to a7. Rook goes up to f7. I mean, I don't know why Wesley So feels like he needs to repeat moves so many times, but I mean, I could just imagine Aryan Tari just being like, I'm not talking to you ever. Like we're not friends, bro. It's crazy. But we do see king down to b6. We see b8 equals queen check. The rook takes, and then we do see bishop takes b8. And I mean, look at all of these pieces for white, man. And you're up a pawn. And you don't want to take this pawn because you're going to be looking at rook check, and then the queen is going to go bye-bye. Man, I'm glad I'm not Aryan Tari, bro. Like, for real. We got a5. I mean, pretty much all Aryan can do is just move pawns, man. Like, he doesn't really have a whole lot extra. So we see bishop down to e5, just protecting the pawn on b2 now. We got a4, a rook goes to b7 with check. We see king to a6 and then a3. As you can see, like, Wesley So is literally just depriving Aryan Tari of, like, any possible moves in this position. And so all he really can do is just move the queen or move this pawn on the h-file. So we see queen to e2. We got bishop down to e4 or down to d4. And we're really putting this king in a box, man. There really isn't a whole lot of space for this king to go. We do see e5, and then we have a rook to e7. We got h5, and then we do see rook to e6 with check. And it is at this point that Aryan Tari resigns the game. And, I mean, basically, this bishop cuts off this diagonal. This bishop cuts off this diagonal. This rook is cutting off of this rank. So you only have king to a5 and king to b5. And both of them horribly, completely lose because they end up basically being the same thing. If you go king to b5, you're looking at rook to e5 with check. And this is forking the king and the queen. And so you're going to have to give the queen up. Queen takes e5, bishop takes e5. Bro, like, I feel like Aryan Tari started to beat Wesley So in, like, one of his previous games in the past. And Wesley So just got mad. And he was like, you know what? You're going to pay for that. He just was like, because this is like a hate game that he just got done playing. Like, look at this. Look at where Tari has to be in right now. He's like literally right there as a super GM. And it's like, look at the board right now. I would, if I was Atari, I would quit chess, man. Like, I don't even want to play no more, man. I'm just good. I'm going to go ahead and just, like, sign my sheets and go home. Like, they're going to be like, where'd Atari go? Like, he left. He's gone, man. Like, this is up there with, like, the top 5 games I think Wesley So's ever played, man, for real. It's insane. So, like I said, I promised you a really crazy game, and you got a crazy game. I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat, aking makaibigan, hanggang sa muli. Tusen tak, anybody coming from Norway, and I will see you guys next time.